Hey you guys, it's Willow. So, I wanted to show you guys some things that I found in the photos that were leaked of Stephen Paddock. Of course, I cannot show the entirety of the photos on YouTube, but I can show you some parts. So, there is graphic imagery about to come up, so please turn it off if you do not wish to watch. And the photo that you'll see here is some bullets that clearly do not look like they have blood on them. And if I could show you the full photo, you would see the other bullet that clearly doesn't have blood on it at all. And if you guys can't find these photos on the internet and you wish to see more clearly what I'm talking about, then you can message me on my Facebook page and I will share them with you. And the reason that I am showing this is because I want to show that there could be a reasonable doubt and a reason to suspect that Stephen Paddock was not the actual killer or shooter in this event that occurred that hurt so many people. His t-shirt, for example, if you look, there's a blood stain on the front, right where the buttons button up. And there looks like there's blood splatter going up above it. I mean, you would wonder, how did that blood stain get there if he shot himself and then would have fallen back immediately? So, to me, in my mind, I would speculate that he could have possibly been shot in the back of the head and he was, sitting down on the ground, of course, if he was being invaded by someone. And when he was shot in the back of the head, his face could have fell forward, which would have gotten blood. The blood coming out of the mouth would have gotten on the shirt, and then he immediately could have been kicked back to lay down on the ground, which would then cause some of the blood to splatter above that blood stain on the shirt where you see it. And then, of course, the blood would then leak out onto the floor. So it's something that could have happened immediately, where he was shot in the back of the head, and then a person could have been standing in front of him, which then kicked him back with their foot. And then, since his head would have been down, the blood that was leaking out of his mouth onto his shirt would have then splattered a little on the shirt as he was being kicked back. And I mean, that's my thoughts and opinion. It doesn't quite ring a bell as to why he would have such a large blood stain on the front of his shirt with that blood splatter if he simply shot himself in the mouth and then fell back immediately. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is not a logical way of thinking, or what? Comment below. I might actually have to turn the comments off for this video. I don't know. I'll see how they go. So just let me know. And like I said, you can Facebook me and I will share these photos with you if you wish to see them. And not only that, the blood splatter that leads up to the revolver that was very far above his head, clearly he didn't shoot himself with the rifle, because the barrel of the rifle was still facing towards the chair that was in front of him and not towards his face. So it doesn't make sense as to him shooting himself with the AR, because the barrel wasn't in front of his face. So it would only make sense to me that he was shot with the revolver, which makes me speculate that if he was being invaded, or if there was a sting operation that occurred that went bad, the people that were supposed to be purchasing the weapons could have only had a little crappy revolver, and so they might have immediately shot him and then took over the scene and got out of there as fast as they could. And it's really strange that we have Jesus compost or Campos, that is silent now, and then the girl, Kimberly, such a mole, I guess that's how you say her last name. She ended up dead after she spoke about, the event on her Facebook page. And then within 24 hours, she was found dead and had died in her sleep. And then we have Chad Nishumar. I guess he's a native from Hawaii, but he worked at the Mandalay Bay as a valet driver, and he parked Stephen Paddock's car, and he said that there was no guns or no bags, and they're, in the vehicle. So, I mean, there's so many questions that are not being answered, and this is the United States of America. And let's just say that Stephen Paddock was found alive and well, and he wasn't shot and he wasn't killed. He would be labeled as a suspect or the suspected shooter in this incident. He would not be automatically assumed or called the active murderer, the acting murderer in this whole entire situation. He would be labeled as the suspected murderer, the suspected terrorist actor, whatever. In the United States of America, you are innocent until proven guilty. And since Stephen Paddock doesn't have a voice anymore to represent himself or speak for himself, he needs people to speak for him. So you have to put yourself in that situation. What if this was your brother or your uncle or your dad or your family member that is now deceased and has no voice to speak with to prove his innocence in some major event? And it's very, it's troubling it should be a troubling thing for the people and the victims in the situation, because they are all, a lot of them are probably automatically assuming that the killer and the shooter is dead now. Thank goodness. But then again, there still might be people out there that committed this crime that have not been caught, who are free roaming around in this country or on this planet, that, got away with it because, they're automatically labeling Stephen Paddock as the, active killer or the guy that committed this crime. And if it was me that got shot, or if it was one of my family members that got hurt or killed, me personally, I would be questioning things and wanting to make sure without a doubt that the person that killed my family member was caught and behind bars, and make sure that that person was held accountable for the crimes that they committed. And, not being able to actually hear a voice is troubling to me. Of course, that's how a lot of these incidents go, is the person who commits the crime is dead before they ever sit in a courtroom, and then you don't ever hear anything about the cases again later. Or, they do catch the person and their eyeballs look like they're ready to pop out of their head, and that they're so high on some kind of drugs. If you look at the Sandy Hook kid, and then you look at the Dark Knight shooting guy, they both look like MK Ultra victims. Their eyeballs are just so wide and dilated, and they just look like they're out of their freaking mind, and they both look like they're on the same substance. So, and those are all conspiracy theories too that have never been proven, but there's a lot of questionable things and questions that have never been answered that goes along with those cases. And it's the same with this Las Vegas case. And I've noticed that there's a whole lot more people out here questioning what really happened than usual. You don't see this many people that are like false flag, false flag, false flag. And I don't know, it's not necessarily a false flag. I think it's a cover up. That's what I think it is. I think it is a cover up. I think that this really did happen. People did get shot. People did get hurt. But I think that it is being concealed and covered up, and they're doing a really sloppy job, if you ask me. I really think they are. And I feel bad for Stephen Paddock's family and the victim's family, because Stephen Paddock's family, they're like dumbfounded. Like, they just can't believe that this happened. His brother explained Stephen Paddock as he is a very wealthy man. He can do whatever he wants. He's got, several homes. His house in Nevada is a over $450,000 home. He can travel and go anywhere he wants to go. He can buy anything he wants to buy. He's the type of person that would wake up in the morning and say, I want to go to Japan and eat sushi, and just book a flight and go to Japan and eat sushi and then come back, because he can do that. So he has no motive to commit such a heinous crime. So that, gives me reason to believe that he could possibly not have been the killer and the shooter in this incident. And also, he had explosives that there's no way that he would have been able to buy those unless he was an arms dealer or he was connected with military in some way. And the amount of guns he had that he had purchased is really lighting up red flags in my head too, because everybody knows how much guns are being regulated in this country, and ammunition is being regulated and this and that. How is he able to just purchase that many guns and there not be any alerts sent to the FBI or the police department or whatever, to question why was this person purchasing this many weapons? Because I know that if I went down to the gun store and purchased that many weapons, then the police would probably be knocking on my door asking me what the hell I'm doing. That would be what they wanted to know. Anybody would want to know that, like, especially the police or the FBI around here, and probably the owner of the gun store would want to know what the hell I'm doing. So I don't see him being able to purchase that many weapons unless he is a arms dealer or he's affiliated with the military in some way. And it's just so mind-boggling to me that I don't, and you don't really see the mainstream media talking about anything about this. And then, Jesus Campos, who just went freaking missing. And then, thank God Laura Loomer was like, I'm going to this guy's house. Like, this is crazy. But, she gets there and there's no media there. And there's like some rent-a-cop standing there that just has no idea really what's going on or doesn't want to comment on anything. And then come to find out he works for the police department. It's a mess. And I kind of feel bad for the Las Vegas Police Department right now. I do. I mean, I have to look into this more, but I feel like the FBI has probably come in and said, hey, shut your mouths and we're going to take care of this. And they're not allowing them to conduct business like they should. And that's not fair to the citizens of this country. It's not fair to the victims, and it's not fair to Stephen Paddock's family as well, because I think that the truth needs to come out, and there's some very questionable things that are going on, and there's answers that we need that we're not getting, and it's not fair. And I hope that the victims get all the answers that they want and need, as well as Stephen Paddock's family. And I do hope that some of the victims, like, I know that there's people that are so angry at Stephen Paddock, and he is the most hated person in the United States right now. But you have to stop and think to yourself, what motive would this person have? How was he able to get this many weapons without any light bulbs turning on in people's minds? How was he able? I mean, the explosives were in his vehicle. Like, why? Like, he obviously didn't have a reason or a motive or premeditated state to use them. So there's just so many things that are not running in a straight line to me, and I feel like there is people hiding underneath rocks. And since there's so many people involved in this, the FBI are probably like, we just need to be quiet as long as we can, and maybe it'll roll over, and eventually something else will happen and people will get into that, and then we'll be able to conduct our business without being so hidden, because that's probably what they're waiting on. They're waiting for this to boil over or something else crazy to happen, and we'll forget about it and move on. And those victims are not going to move on. They're going to want to know what really happened, and they deserve to know what really happened. And I'm looking at it like, if my husband was shot and he died, I would be looking at everything with a fine-tooth comb. Everything. I would be obsessed with watching the videos over and over and over and over again. I would probably fly to Las Vegas myself and walk those steps just to see what it is like there with my own two eyeballs. So, you know, it just doesn't add up to me, and I am trying to think like a victim in this case, and I just don't feel like Stephen Paddock was the shooter. And I feel like there is a reasonable doubt that he did not do this. You know, a large reasonable doubt. I keep saying that he didn't do it more than I say that there's a possibility he did do this. So thanks you guys for listening to me rant about this. If you have any comments you want to leave, you can leave them below. Please like this video, because when you like my videos, it messes with the YouTube algorithm and it makes my videos go up more in the little screen or whatever. So like this video and make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you guys and have a great day. Bye.